Crazy weekend of NFL playoffs. We have our final four set now with Detroit and San Fran, Baltimore and KC. Death, taxes, Chiefs in the AFC Conference Championship. Make it 6 straight for them. That was a great game last night. Go on the road to Buffalo, get it done. As far as the other games, I mean, San Fran almost let that one slip, John, against Green Bay. They got lucky there, and they're going to have a big injury question mark in Deebo Samuel this week. That could really change things up.
Yeah, big. If you guys remember earlier in the season, Deebo missed a few games, and that's when they had a 3-game losing streak. But also offensive lineman Trent Williams was out with Deebo, so it was 2 big offensive pieces. San Fran didn't look the same, dominating now all of a sudden since that Philly game. We saw this last year. Buffalo went into KC. They were, at that point, the best team in the NFL, got their playoff revenge from the year before, and it kind of seemed like the season was over, like they could just coast from there on out. Looks like Philly's doing this, the 49ers are doing the same, playing phenomenal football except for those 3 weeks, as we mentioned. Go into Philly, absolutely destroy the Eagles, to show them up for what they are, and just haven't been the same, haven't recovered and played the same football, especially at home, now having covered any of their last 6 games at home. Well, granted, Tampa Bay, they were 13.5-point favorite, only won by 13. Week 18, they rested their starters. So there's a little asterisk there, but still just not playing dominating, playing good. And if Green Bay maybe had just a little more experience, would have made it a little bit more interesting. That being said, with Deebo in, I think that line is solid. Detroit playing real good football, but as good as they played, especially in that second half, that game was right on the number. Now, for my Massa Edge members, you know, we were looking for the 7 all week long. It just never got there. We wound up taking just for 1 unit, just to have a bet on a game, as I said in my preview. Just couldn't pass up. Baker Mayfield on the road, 18 TDs, just 3 interceptions on the road. And Tampa Bay 8-1 against the spread on the road. Thought it was worth taking 6. We took it 6 even, so no juice on that. And that's big. That 6.5 would have been bigger had they converted that 2-point conversion.
It's right there.
But yeah, some bad plays. Tampa Bay's got a pick off in the end zone. Should have stopped the Lions there. A bad tipped pass by Baker, and then Baker throws the last interception. So a little bit different there. The surprising part was these 2 games yesterday just flew over. Like they went over, looked like a dead under Tampa Bay, Detroit. But that fourth quarter, Detroit, I guess, just wore down Tampa Bay by default. A couple of guys getting injured, and that Tampa Bay defense just could not keep up anymore. Detroit is electric. Can they do that now on the grass out at San Francisco? So we'll see. I think it's a solid game. Deebo's going to be big. I think he's going to be a little more towards the doubtful side. We'll get some info on that today. But the number came up 7. It's 7 with Deebo. It's shorter with him out. We'll see what happens.
That's the big injury watch, and obviously some other guys a little bit banged up. We'll have our members updated on that injury info throughout the week. Make sure you guys sign up. There's already 1 bet out for the NFL next weekend. If you guys want that, become a member on Massa Edge or download the app. Had a good amount of basketball going on this weekend as well. Some crazy games, some crazy performances last night. KD had a big game. Lakers come back. They're looking good. D'Angelo Russell playing good ball right now. This NBA down the stretch here, it's always an interesting time. A couple of weeks away now from the All-Star break. This is where some teams start to, really pick up steam, and some teams start to get a little fatigued and fall off a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see what we get with these teams coming through the next few weeks. John, I don't know if there's anything you picked up this weekend where you see any of those teams going either of those directions.
Buyers and sellers, you'll see who they are now. It looked like the Nets, somebody said warrant sellers after beating the Lakers, and then they go into They've remained in LA to play the Clippers, beating them the whole game. Clippers in the game with a 22-0 run. This is the last couple of days, some just crazy ways to close out games. This game is never over till that horn sounds. Clippers a 22-0 run. Just a few days ago, Suns went on a 32-5 run to cover the Kings. I mean, imagine having the Nets yesterday plus double digits.
I'm breaking shit if I had the Nets yesterday.
It's almost as tough as having the Grizzlies plus 5, taking 13 and still losing with 4 minutes left. This is the game, guys. So, again, we always talk about it. You can get an edge on the game. There is no such thing as a lock. Anything could happen. Kawhi and PG dead for 3 quarters. Both get it going in the fourth and just absolutely blow the doors off. Clippers, Denver, 2 best teams in the West. I can't see either team making a move. I don't know what they would need, to be honest with you. Clippers have depth. Maybe Denver wants to add a little bit of depth because that bench just leaves a lot to be desired. But other than that, don't see much. They look like the 2 best teams. And OKC showed me right now they're number 3. Went into Minnesota, and they gave it to the Wolves on their home court. Yep. Again, we've talked about this many times. We saw OKC's rise. We know that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the Western Conference for the next 5+ years. Didn't think they were going to be one of the teams in the mix this year, and they certainly are.
Yeah, OKC playing great basketball. That Western Conference solidifying. You're talking about that Denver bench. If they make any moves for that, apparently Toronto's still looking to maybe shop Bruce Brown, maybe flip him again. Maybe there's a good little reunite there between the Denver and Bruce Brown. That could be a good piece to get back.
You know, he'd fit in perfect. He fit in perfect last year. He would be absolutely perfect for that.
So we'll be keeping our eyes on the trade deadline, guys, as always, these next couple of weeks. The injuries, the trades, everything, so be a bit careful with the lineups and such. But let's go ahead and dive into this pretty good slate we got going on today. We got the Bucks and the Pistons to start things off. Second game of a 2-game set. They just met. Bucks just took care of business again in this matchup. They are now 24-1 the last 25 meetings. They won 12 straight in Detroit, 8-3-1 against the spread. Absolutely dominate this matchup. Trends over as well. They're just not covering right now. 1-9 against the spread. Their last 10. Tough to lay double digits. They own the matchup, and they cover at a pretty good rate in the matchup, but double digits, tough to lay. And, hey, watch out. Pistons playing a little bit all right basketball right now. They've covered 4 in a row. Can they rip off 5, keep this within 12? Lean's got to be Bucks with the trend, but I will say if Milwaukee gets a big lead in this game, you can get a bigger number with Pistons at halftime. Might be worth a look.
Yeah, I can't bet Pistons in this game just because of the absolute domination of this series. Milwaukee's won 24 of the last 25 meetings, and they've won, I believe it's the last dozen at Detroit. Yeah. They just continue to bury them. Now, Detroit hung around most of the game, gave Milwaukee a scare, but Milwaukee got enough to get it out. I would lay Milwaukee in this spot if they didn't have a 2-game set coming up with Cleveland, who Cleveland just beat them by 40 in a game Giannis sat out. So I think this might be a little bit of look-ahead spot against a team they absolutely own. So it would be Milwaukee or nobody, but really don't want to mess with this game. And as Ben said, a big lead in the second half. And you can see maybe Milwaukee's eyes start looking a little further towards that Cleveland spot. Maybe tinker around with Detroit there. As far as the total, over. That's the only reason I haven't bet. If I'm going to bet an over, I'm going to make sure everybody's in the lineup. Giannis sat for out of the blue the other night against Cleveland. Great for us because that's the night that we had Cleveland. But as far as totals in this one, here's a series. The last 5 meetings have gone over. 259.4 points a game. 3 of the Bucks' last 4 went over at 259.5 points a game. The only game that didn't go over, the game that Giannis sat, and the Pistons' last 3 have gone over 254 points. Over. Everybody's playing. Let's go over.
Next matchup, kind of the opposite of that, Cavs at Orlando. Cavs right now, hottest team in the NBA, longest win streak at 7 in a row, 6-1 against the spread on those, and they're holding teams to 98.4 points per game during that stretch, playing terrific basketball right now, coming off a win at Atlanta. And you got this Magic team who they played last night. They get a nice win there over the Miami Heat. Wagner, he returned. Is he going to play again today? This Magic team's 14-5, 13-6 against the spread at home. They've been solid at home all season. This is Cavs or nobody. Cheap number here. The way they're playing, no reason to bucket in my eyes. Obviously, Orlando, a little bit of the home edge there. Been great at home. A little revenge factor as well. Magic won in Orlando earlier this season. Cavs won the prior 5 meetings. And under trends across the board here on this one, John.
Milwaukee, Detroit, over. Orlando, Cleveland, under. As Ben said, you've got Cleveland holding teams down to 98 points per game, 98.4 points per game. Under is 8-2 in the last 10 meetings between these teams in Orlando. 2 this year, average 215. Under is 5-0-1 the Cavs' last 6 games as they've been holding teams under. And Magic's 7 of their last 8 have gone under. We were on the under on the Magic. We're riding this out with the under. No reason not to go under in this game.
Yeah.
Cleveland on the win streak, they're doing it just with defense. They're doing it with defense, and their best defensive guy, Mobley, is not playing. He's injured. So just to give you some kind of idea what this team could be if they had all their pieces. Remember, Darius Garland's still also out. Also, LeVert, their 6th man, he missed the last game, questionable to get back today. Now, Orlando did get Franz Wagner back yesterday, 28 minutes. Do they play him in a back-to-back after missing the couple of weeks before? So we'll wait and see. Hopefully he's out. Hopefully LeVert's out. Give us more reason to bet the under. We're on the under in this one.
Then we got Spurs at Philly. Spurs playing pretty good ball right now. They're coming off a win at Washington. Wemby, he's just been on the tear, had another solid game. This Spurs team, just 3-7, 8-2 against the spread, though, in their last 10 games. They've been covering left and right. And then you got this Philly team who just keeps getting it done. They get a win against Charlotte. Embiid, another solid game. They've won 5 straight, 4-1 against the spread. They're 16-6 at home. Spurs did get them in Philly last year. Philly had won the prior 8 meetings. Got to be a little bit of a revenge angle. Big number here, though, for Philly. Big number. Last game of a trip for San Antonio. No interest in the spot. Again, this could be another one of those opportunities where it might be looking at halftime. Last game of trip, though, typically messed that up. So got to see how Philly comes out in this one. It could be one of those Spurs come out and then get Philly at a cheaper price at half, and that's what I would prefer in this one.
Yeah, this could just be a total letdown game for San Antonio, a pack-it-in game. This is now 5th game, and 5th and final game of an 8-day trip. They head back home to us, and they're coming off a win. Just a spot for a real shutdown. Last time they went into Philly, they won by 9 points. Philly had won the 8 prior meetings, so Philly might have that stick in their head. And Philly coming off a bad performance, they did win at Charlotte. They won both games of that last quick little bit of a road stand, we'll call it. But the 90 only with 97-89 against the Charlotte team that was out without Ball, they without Hayward, they without Williams. And who else were they were out? Without the other backup center,
Richards.
So a real shorthanded Charlotte team. And I actually put in a preview. You had 6'7" P.J. Washington guarding Joel Embiid. Well, Joel Embiid obviously got 30 again, and that's the 20th time in a row. 20 straight games that he's played, he's hit the 30 mark. So you can almost pencil him in for that 30. Can the length of Wembanyama stop him? I doubt it, but we'll see. So, yeah, Sixers just might have in their mind, hey, we played a horrible game. Hey, that San Antonio beat us the last time they came on our court and took a W. They might come out and send San Antonio, as we've seen once before with that Atlanta game to start the trip. They just didn't show up in that game. could be something similar tonight. For me, it would be Philly or nobody, but I'll stay off this big 14-point number.
Yeah, it was Embiid, I believe, who prepped the question to Wemby earlier this season. Are you going to play more like me, or are you going to try to play more like Kevin Durant? So we'll see how he goes about it tonight against Embiid. Next matchup, two teams not doing well right now. Grizzlies at Toronto. Grizzlies 1-4 their last 5. Toronto 1-6 their last 7. Memphis coming off a blowout loss at Chicago. Raptors coming off a blowout loss against the Knicks. This is two teams tough to want to back right now. Raptors playing, a little bit better, a little bit tougher schedule on this bad stretch here. They did win last year in Memphis. Grizzlies won and covered the prior 3 meetings. And tough to back two poor teams right now. Memphis 29th in scoring. Toronto not doing much scoring. And that's why all the signs point to the under, John.
Yeah, this is another run the game. Last 4 meetings went under. Grizzlies' last 4 games are averaging 216.3. I used the last 4 because that's when they lost that final piece, Desmond Bane. They'd already been without Marcus Smart, already without Ja Morant. And then when Bane goes down, now averaging their games are averaging just 216.3. Raptors last 4, 217.8. We know the story with Raptors. 10 games ago, they got it is now 12 games ago for Toronto. They got rid of OG. They're 4-8 since then. They got rid of Siakam. They're 1-2 since his depart. There's more talk about moving more pieces. It's an unsettled team. I hate to say this, gentlemen, 7 points. If it ticks up just a little, another half, that'll be enough for me to get on Memphis. I don't want it. They got us the last 2, first 2 of this road trip. But Toronto just right now does not belong to be 7.5 points over anybody. Right now, that line's sitting at 7. Again, under. You got Memphis 29th in scoring. They were 29th in scoring with Morant and Bane and these guys, and they don't have them anymore. Toronto picked up the scoring a little bit after OG left. That was offense for defense with Barrett and Quickly. Last few games, not actually getting it done offensively. So I'm going to be under on this one also. And if it ticks any higher, I'll be on the Grizzlies. Holding my nose, but I'll be on the Grizzlies.
Then we got the Hornets at Minnesota. Hornets covered but lost to Philly in that last game. LaMelo.
But they didn't cover the second half, and that's all that matters because we had 76ers in the second half, so we hung on to that one.
Another winner there. Yeah, LaMelo Ball, he obviously misses a lot of time with injury, and it kind of seems like he goes on these stretches. I mean, Charlotte not playing good ball right now, 1-7 their last 8, 1-12 last 13 on the road. Waiting for him to get on his typical trend. He comes back, plays horrible for a few games, then they get their groove going. About 5-10 games in, he starts playing really good ball. They go on a stretch, and then he gets hurt again. So waiting for that Charlotte good stretch coming up. They're due for it. Don't think it's coming against Minnesota tonight, even though they own this matchup a little bit, or used to, I should say. They're 6-2, 6-1-1 against the spread the last 8 meetings. Minnesota, the way they lost that game to OKC, Anthony Edwards, 3 free throws at the end, chance to tie it. They lose the fourth quarter by 14. He misses all 3 free throws. This Minnesota team, or this Charlotte team, I should say, might be catching a very angry, upset Anthony Edwards and Minnesota team today. And this is a double-digit game for a good reason. As good as Charlotte has played in this matchup, I don't think LaMelo's back to form enough yet, and he's still questionable. If LaMelo's out, I mean, this game could be ugly here. Wolves could be getting out some anger today.
First, let me see this. I'm expecting Ball to play today. I think the game he missed against Philly, that was in a back-to-back. I remember he missed a big chunk of the year, and as he's missed a big chunk of his whole career staying healthy. I think he'll be back today. That hasn't been announced yet, so we'll wait to see. And just as Ben said, Hornets go in to catch Minnesota at the wrong time. A pissed-off Minnesota team with a day to stew over that OKC loss. Remember, many OKC 1-2. That was a big game for them. Their next game is against the Wizards. They're not really going to get there's not going to be a look ahead in this spot. I think they'll come focused. This one could get ugly. Remember, they were down 5 entering the fourth quarter with the Grizzlies, and they outscored them by 20 to take that W away from us. I could see something similar like that. We'll wait on the Ball info. but this line is right where it should be. Big number.
Celtics at Dallas. Celtics back-to-back after winning at Houston. Tatum and Brown, bad nights. Porzingis, big game. Horford and Holiday, they didn't play. They're going to be going. And then who else is going to sit between Brown, Tatum? Probably for sure Porzingis, but do Brown and Tatum get a night off? So that's going to be something to look there. Mavs, 4 days off. They lose against the Lakers. Luka triple-double wasn't enough. Kyrie, bad shooting game, 4 of 16. We saw this with the Clippers. Clippers had that 4 days off prior to the game with the Nets, and they were very, very sluggish. That was a rust versus rest kind of a thing, very sluggish early. They got going late. This could be one of those opportunities to catch four, and it could fit as well with Celtics on a back-to-back. They could be good early, fatigued late. So it would be interesting to watch this game at halftime with that. As far as the matchup history sees, they won both meetings last year. Mavericks have won the prior 4. Would lean Dallas here plus the 3. Just feel like we might be able to get a better price at halftime.
Yeah, so let's talk about that rusting. First of all, Dallas is missing 4 days. That's because they had a scheduled game canceled at Golden State because of the death of the assistant coach. Ben told you, look what 4 days off did for the Clippers. They weren't ready to play. They weren't ready to play the Brooklyn Nets yesterday. Took them to the fourth quarter to wake up. While we're talking about Russ, let's jump back to the NFL 1 seeds.
Yeah.
Baltimore, who destroyed Houston in the second half, wasn't ready to play in the first half. A very sluggish first half. 49ers, they really don't think we're ready to play the whole game. They certainly weren't ready in the first half. So that extra rest, when it's too much rest, sometimes it's overkill. You'd rather have rest than back-to-back, but some days, 4 days rest. I'd rather have the team that's back-to-back. It takes a little while to get into that, back into that groove, especially the way it happened to them. They go to Golden State expecting to play a game, and then that game gets canceled. Anyway, with that being said, got to wait to see who the Celtics are sitting. All of a sudden, the last couple of games, Tatum and Brown can't find the bucket. They were disastrous against Denver. That's one thing. But to go against Houston, who was playing shorthanded yesterday, and Houston was in a back-to-back off overtime, Brown and Tatum combined to shoot 10 for 31. If not for Porzingis knocking 6 of them down from three-pointer, they would have had their hands full. So we'll wait to see is it Tatum, is it Brown? Do they both get a day off? Does nobody get a day off? Maybe it looks like they may be able to use it. They gave Brown a day off the last set of back-to-backs prior to Denver. I think this might be Tatum, if anybody. Again, not saying that we know anybody's sitting out. Well, we do know Porzingis played a lot of minutes last night. He doesn't usually play back-to-back. We'll wait and see for that. As far as Dallas, Celtics beat them both times last year and beat them up bad in Dallas prior to last year. Mavs had won 4 straight. It's Mavs or nobody if somebody sits for Boston. Other than that, we got to just wait and see.
We got Bulls at Phoenix. Bulls playing pretty good ball right now. 6-2 their last day, coming off a blowout win over Memphis. Suns, they're back-to-back. They're playing better ball right now. They've won 5 in a row after KD dropped 40 last night in their win over Indiana. This matchup history favors Phoenix 8 straight, 5-2-1 against the against the spread. This is one of those revenge or ownership questions. This is definitely ownership. 8 straight meetings. But the last time they played, Suns win 116-115 in OT at Chicago. So anytime you lose on your home floor in overtime, definitely a little bit of revenge. You know, Chicago is going to be getting up for this game. Helps that Suns are on a back-to-back. Can they break the ownership? Spots all Chicago, matchup history, and Phoenix playing great basketball right now. Bulls are nothing. Need more on the number.
Yeah. Without a doubt, we're going to call this one an ownership. Even winning in overtime in Chicago, got to remember, Booker did not play that game. So that's a big piece to be missing. Excuse me. With that being said, KD, 40 points, 40 minutes last night. Does he play back-to-back? We'll wait and see on that. Chicago, they're already without LaVine. You know what? Don't mean a thing. When LaVine got hurt early in the year, that's when White went into the starting lineup, started picking up his game. LaVine was out his last game. they put up $1.25 on Memphis, who usually plays a slower pace. So we'll wait to see where this one goes. You got to see if KD, if Beal, another guy that's a regular on the injury report, if these guys are going to all be in there in a back-to-back situation. This number is made with everybody in it, even though there's ownership here. 5 points is the right number. Chicago's been playing better basketball lately. So, again, we'll wait on the injuries for this one, if there are any.
We have Hawks at Sacramento to round out the card. Trae Young, he's going to be out tonight. They're coming off a big blowout loss to the Cavs. And you have this Kings team who's been struggling. They've now dropped 4 in a row. The last one was to the Pacers at home. If you look at who they play, the situation is not that bad of a 4-game stretch. I mean, they lose at Philly, at Milwaukee, at Phoenix, come home and lose to the Pacers. 2 of those really bad, tough losses against Phoenix and Milwaukee. Just tough games right now. It's taking them out. As far as the last 6 home games, 2-4, 1-5 against the spread. This is a matchup history that favors Atlanta a little bit. Kings did beat them in Atlanta in December. Hawks won the prior 4 meetings. This is a lot of under trends. No Trae Young. I'm still leading Atlanta. DeJounte Murray's been taking pretty good care of things when Trae Young has been out. It's a lot of points for a Sac team. Playing tough, close games, not covering numbers right now. And I know Hawks don't cover just 3 of 12 their last 15 road games against the spread. It would be Hawks or nothing, and we're looking at that under, John.
Yeah, Hawks are nothing in this one. I agree. 8 points, a lot of points. My angle on this one is back to the under. Atlanta's a team that beginning part of the year, they were second, third, fourth as far as scoring, and 28th, 29th as far as giving up points. Well, they've completely turned that around. So right now, you've got Atlanta 5th in scoring with scoring 120 a game and giving up 122.5 a game. But in their last 5, they're scoring just 103.6 and giving up 110.8. So totally different. Here's a matchup that has totally trend to the under. Last 7 meetings have all gone under, including both last year at 232. Hawks' last 6 games, as I gave you the stats on them, the last 5, their last 6 games all under 214.4. Add in, they will have leading scorer Trae Young, 26.9 points per game, 10.8 assists, and 3 of the Kings' last 5 have gone under. One of the games that went over was that overtime at Milwaukee. So all the trends are under over here. You have no Trae Young. Atlanta's just playing totally different basketball right now, so I'm on the under.
Yeah, and Trae Young's out too. It's not just the offensive loss, it's also the defensive increase when he's off the floor as well. So it's a 2 for there for the under trends. That's the NBA slate we have going on today. A lot of totals so far, guys. Obviously, a good amount of question marks on this card. Could be adding some sides based on where the lines go with those injury infos. And we have one NFL bet out for next weekend. If you guys want that, become a member on the Massa Edge app or sign up on massaedge.com. John, a good amount of bets today. Hopefully we can get this week started off with some winners.
Yep, basketball's okay. The NFL totals didn't treat us right over the weekend, but the NBA totals have looked good, and we've been cashing some halftime bets, which is another thing. Again, we love you guys that come in, that are subscribers here and watch the podcast, but obviously you cannot get – well, you can't get the weekend anyway, but you can't get our halftime bets. So that's a good spot. Philadelphia was one of them. Half point to we have caught both by half point. One was Friday night was Philly. Saturday night had the Pacers minus 7.5 in the second half, and my girl Domo was a little confused, and she threw something in the chat. And I was like, "Look, we could still lose by 3 and get paid." And sure enough, the Pacers lost by 3, and we got paid. So a couple of halftime W's, guys. Always stay. If we don't have a bet, we might not have a bet. I don't force. If something's there at halftime, that's when we're on it. We're on it when there's an edge. NFL's been tough. The numbers are right there. I do see one spot this week that I really like.
One spot this week, guys. We'll touch on those games later on Friday. Otherwise, going to be a lot of basketball this week. Appreciate you tuning in. As always, like, comment, subscribe below, and let's make some money, John.
Let's make some money.